So this is a massive day in the life of Mr. Salles. I'm in the school car park and I'm going to find out what my GCSE grade is. More particularly because I'm bound to get a grade 9, aren't I? What percentage did I get? Because I really need at least 95%. No, 98% in order for me to get overexcited, completely bananas about this exam. It's a new exam board. I loved it when I sat the paper, but will my results be any good? Right, here we go then.
Do you want me to do a commentary?
Do you want to do a commentary?
Yeah. Ladies and gents, this is young Dominic Salles.
Am I actually in the frame?
Yeah. We're going to put Dominic in the frame. All right. If you could just do as a stand to the left, a stand to the right. Okay.
Here's my
Okay.
results.
Hoping to pass his English this time around.
Okay, here we go.
Which is always
Here
a
we go.
bonus.
So you already know, don't you, what I've got?
I already know what you've got.
And I get my papers back.
Yeah, and which is why I've got the tissues on the desk.
Okay, grade 9, first hurdle overcome. But I need 98% for this to be kosher. So in case you don't know me, I am Dominic Salles, an English teacher with over 30 years experience, and I'm absolutely obsessed about giving my students the top grades. So behind me, you can see the range of guides I've written to the AQA exam. So each question has got its own rules and I've written a guide to each of those questions. But I actually hate that about AQA. Like, an exam that needs its own rules for each question is not a proper test of English, is it? So why did I take this GCSE Edexcel 2.0? Because I thought I'd found the Holy Grail. An English exam that just tests how good you are at English. I can't believe how exciting that sounds to say. And when I sat the exam, it felt like I'd discovered this nirvana, this paradise, this heaven on earth, where the exam just needed you to be good at English. So I did no revision. I looked at no exam papers. I looked at no mark scheme. This wasn't stupid of me. It was a way to test whether the exam tested whether you're any good at English, because after all, any teacher who's been teaching English for 30 years with an English degree, who's written loads of books, ought to be able to do brilliantly in the exam. My fear was there'd be something in the mark scheme that would trip me up. There would be artificial stuff in there, as there is with almost every AQA question. And so I got my results, as you've seen. So let's just whack them up again. There's my grade 9. This is 80 out of 80 on one paper, but the killer, 79 out of 80 on the other. Now, when I opened the paper up, I thought, oh, that's just tolerance. You know, examiners are allowed to disagree. And I've just lost this mark because one examiner looked at that one question and thought, oh, that's just not worth full marks. But this is the fascinating thing. But this is the interesting thing. It's about interesting the reader. Well, that's what I expected. All English exams have that question. But this one's also about informing the reader. Now, I did not highlight the key words in the question, and I can predict why that was. I just thought I knew what it was. Oh, this is just a typical English question, bish, bash, bosh. And I did not think about the word inform. And so what's super encouraging for me here is I wrote my 2 pages, if it was 2 pages, as my answer to that question, without ever using the word inform. So this is actually brilliant, because what it means is that I was able to get 7 out of 8 marks just by writing about how it interests the reader, as you would as a normal student of English. You wouldn't really, as a student of English, care how informative a piece of writing was if your purpose was to make it interesting. They are 2 competing purposes. It's a stupid question for that reason, but despite it being a stupid question, it rewards people who write as proper English students. So obviously, if I were teaching this, I'd say, don't forget the inform part. But the brilliant news is I lost only 1 mark by not directly using that word inform and in fact ignoring it in all my writing. Now, I was delighted to see when I got onto the longer mark questions that I had actually bothered to work out what the keywords were. Now, that was essential because, as I told you, I did not look at the exam paper or the mark scheme, so I didn't know what the format of the questions was going to be. Therefore, I spent time in the exam trying to figure out what the questions wanted. That was important because that then makes it a test of, are you any good at English, rather than do you know the secret code of the mark scheme or the secret thing that the examiner's looking for. I'm not going to go through the whole exam, but I just want to convey some of the brilliance in the exam design. So if we look at this question, I just have to say how far I agree. I don't have this invented question about a student said blah de blah de blah, how far do you agree? And then there are actually two opinions that you've got to agree or disagree with. And many students will miss the fact that there are two, and they'll come up with something that won't score really great marks because of the way the question's phrased. Whereas here, I was easily able to get full marks because I was able to say, I agree this far. And it would be the same for you. If you were asked, how far do you agree? You will easily be able to say, I agree this far and no more, because it's not difficult if the question is fair. When I got to the persuasive writing question, I was given two choices. How liberating is that? The easier choice always gives you a start. So if you don't know how to begin, you can steal what they claim a student started the answer with. It's designed to help you crack in and get the marks rather than waste time not writing. I obviously, as an English teacher, chose the one I could make up totally myself. I tell my top grade students not to bother planning. The exam actually includes a planning sheet. As you can see, I totally ignored it. If you're not a good writer, then planning your argument is a must. But if you're already a good writer, planning takes time. And I wanted to blitz this question. So how many pages did I write? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just over 6 pages for that question because I was so excited by it. Obviously, I didn't have to write that much, but the exam was just so much fun that I did. If we look at the descriptive writing question that you get in AQA, there is no description. It says write an imaginative piece. You can write in any way you like. You could even write a poem or a rap. Like, you could write whatever you wanted and still get the marks. That is exciting. I went into the exam knowing that I wanted to write a story because I'd already planned 20 story plots in advance. I didn't have all of those in my head. I had 2 that I knew I wanted to write. If I was a student stuck, didn't know what to write, they also give you 2 images which you can play with or completely ignore. I obviously ignored them. But what a fair exam, designed to get you writing straight away and earning your marks. Again, if you're a top grade student, I tell you not to waste time planning, but they provide you with a planning sheet if you're not confident in your writing. I ignored it and cracked on. How many pages? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages. Completely overexcited again, but I've trained myself to write fast. Now, writing speed doesn't depend on intelligence. It just takes practice. When was the last time I sat down for 2 hours to write in an exam? It was when I was aged 24. That's the last time I sat an exam, and that was 25 years ago. So this is not something that I practiced for this exam, but I've practiced it in life. And I can't overemphasize how important writing speed is for you. I don't handwrite anything at all now. I type. So I'm well out of practice. But again, I wanted to see what I could do as a proper student of English. That is going to be another superpower for you. The faster you can write, the more marks you will get. But this is another way that the EdXL 2.0 exam trounces AQA. It's testing the same skills as AQA, but instead of an hour and 45 minutes, which is what AQA give you, it's an hour and 55 minutes. You get an extra 10 minutes. Why have the examiners done that? Because they know lots of students lose marks, not because they aren't good enough at English, they just write too slowly. However, if you learn to write quickly for AQA and then get to do the Edexcel 2.0 exam, you get an extra free 10 minutes to write loads more, score loads more marks. In those extra 10 minutes, you will go up at least a grade, I suspect, unless you're already super fast. Another reason why 2.0 is so magnificent. So here is the irony. I have all these books about AQA. I make all these videos about AQA. I've just released a course that you can buy into teaching you how to do paper 1, the reading section. That is how I earn my money. But I am going to spend as much time as I can persuading as many people as possible to stop doing the AQA paper and switch to Edexcel 2.0. If my own child was still in year 11 doing the exams, I would say to them, if they hadn't got grade 8 or 9, I'm going to stop you doing the AQA exam and I'm going to pay for you to do Edexcel 2.0. I would literally do that with my own money. Now, I can imagine some schools feeling a bit threatened by this, but I wouldn't care if it was my own kid. Yeah, if you're already getting grade 8 and 9, then there's no percentage really. You might as well just stick with AQA. Not only will they get a higher grade, they'll actually enjoy it. Honestly, it was so much fun. And I would never say that about the AQA exam. Now, if you are in year 10 or you're watching this later in the year, as a parent, I would also pay for my kid in year 11 prior to the November to take the exam in the November as I did. I reckon you'll get a higher grade on this paper taking it in November than then waiting till May to take the AQA language exam. Schools would be slightly peeved about this because it will affect their data, but why would you care? If you don't get the grade that you want, you can always take the actual AQA exam in the summer. Or you might think, no, this is a better exam, I'm going to take this one again in the summer and keep my higher grade. The reason I'm recommending that is it takes absolutely no revision, 0 revision. You just have to be good at English. I can't overemphasize that enough. Now, regardless of which exam you do end up taking, you need to be brilliant at persuasive writing. And that is the video coming up now.